One of the hardest things that I have been learning lately in my journey is being okay with disappointing people. And I don't mean hurting people deliberately. What I mean is those moments when our body feels uncomfortable, when we want to say no, but we cannot say no because we are afraid what if the other person thinks differently about us. And I have been noticing lately is that it's much easier for me to say no to people who are strangers and are trying to be pushy rather than with people who are kind to me. That is when saying no becomes so much more difficult because I feel the pressure of maintaining this nice person image. But why does it happen though? Why do I feel this pressure and not say no to kind people and end up losing my boundary? Let's explore this in this video. So, what happens is when I'm with a stranger, let's say it's a salesperson or a telecaller or somebody else, it's so much easier to say no and say that, okay, I'm not interested or I don't want to take the call or downright just cut the call because I am not afraid of the judgment of the other person. And the judgment of the other person in this case does not affect my life in the grand scheme of things, right? Because they don't know me, I don't know them, they don't know the people around me. Nothing of negative consequence is going to happen, right? But whenever it is a case with somebody who is close to me, a friend, or maybe even a cab driver that I'm riding with, who is apparently a stranger, but the moment they start being kind to me, you know, in any way, shape, or form, that is when stating my boundaries and saying no becomes a tad bit difficult. When it comes to friends, it becomes even more difficult because suddenly I'm experiencing a pressure of being judged as somebody different than who they thought that I was. And this pressure, this fear is very, very subconscious and cannot be explained rationally. With friends, it can happen. Why not? Because if they think I'm a different person, if I say that, no, I do not want to, be at that party or go with the trip that they are arranging, what if they think bad about me? What if they may exclude me from the group? What if that might result in me being alone in the future and being friendless? All of that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But what about the cab driver thing? The cab driver is still sort of a stranger. Suddenly, if they are a little kind to me, why can't I say no? It's because if they have been kind to me, I have been on the receiving end of their kindness. Now, there is this pressure of being reciprocal about this to not harm their emotions, you know, and not fail them as a person for what they thought or who they thought I was. And this creates a kind of insane pressure which stops me many times from saying no. Have you experienced any of these things? If you have, then maybe I'm on the verge of discovering on how to maneuver yourself out of this. This comes from the people pleasing patterns that we have. You know, I have made videos on people pleasing. You might want to explore that, where I share that much of our people pleasing tendency comes from an early age, from trying to protect ourselves, from not being excluded from the group. Because most of the time, we were highly sensitive individuals, and we were maybe too sensitive and too weird and too different to be easily accepted in groups, be it the same age or, adults, you know, and we wanted to be part of the circle, not to be excluded. That is a very human desire. And much of that we navigated through people pleasing so that we are validated enough to be taken in. And much of that protective mechanism, people pleasing, has now transferred to our adult life, which is stopping us from setting boundaries, right? In this particular case, what I have been discovering is that the way to navigate out of this might just lie in being okay with the idea that it is okay and harmless to disappoint people from time to time, you know? Because when I've been doing the inner work, probing into my own emotions when they flare up during these disharmonious situations, what I have been discovering is much of this pressure has to do with me not being okay with disappointing other people. It's an unimaginable burden that I take on myself. But why? No reason. What results in trying not to disappoint others is disappointing myself, where I find myself in a party or in a trip or hanging out with people when I consciously didn't want to be in that place just because I could not say no. Have you experienced that? If you have, then this is what I want to share with you. Try playing with this idea. What will happen if I say no? You are going to immediately get the idea the other person may be disappointed with you. And then ask yourself this question: what will happen if they are disappointed in me? They might think differently about you, they might judge you, they might do something. But is it worth it? That little bit of disappointment that you might cause, not necessarily, you might cause, is it worth putting yourself in a situation where you don't necessarily want to be and experiencing all that discomfort because you cannot say no? If it is not worth it, then allow yourself to be okay with disappointing others. Life is an act of balance. You cannot please others all the way and maintain inner balance. I teach inner harmony and inner alignment and inner balance. And what I have been discovering within myself is that unless I'm balanced within, I'm never going to be harmonious. And to be balanced, I need to take care of my own needs. And to take care of my own needs, I need to say no time to time. And if to say no, to take care of myself, results in disappointing somebody to a little extent, that is okay. That is completely okay. People are not going to die. Most often, they are not even going to be disappointed as much as we think. So consider this idea and play with it. See what happens. If what I've shared in this video has resonated, then do consider leaving a comment under this video. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to partake in more of my sharings, then I write weekly newsletters where I share in depth about how to experience deeper levels of inner harmony, bring inner alignment, and live your life purposefully. If you want to experience that, then sign up for my newsletters. Link is in the description of this video. If you have enjoyed this video, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.